I'm Julie.
And we're just kicking it today, and we're going to talk about whatever comes up. So what's on your mind?
Your shirt, first off,
Cool.
is I saw you when you got here and you came up and I went, oh, that's got a story. So tell me about it.
Just African design.
It's gorgeous.
Just trying to feel my own culture. Trying to connect with it. I studied for a long time shamanism, and after researching my culture, I found that there had a rich history of everything, including medicine men stuff. So I started on a journey to do that. At the same time, I was learning Taoism, and I found so many similarities in it. But it's easier to tell people you're Taoist than it is to say I'm a Bantu shaman. Okay, nobody knows what the hell that is. Okay, so I stick with the Taoist part because everything is common. Back in the day, before they had, well, we're talking Taoism came around 2,000 years ago, a little bit BC. But before that, there was those concepts of yin and yang, and wei wu, and feng shui. So those dated back another 2,000 years. So 4,000 years ago, people had a sense of how to live and how to be with each other. And that's what I found my two cultures had in common. You know, was nothing mystical about an ancient Chinese religion, you know, nothing there, you know. And the good part about it is they didn't talk about religion in Taoism, okay? It's basically how to live. What is life? And because we all it's got to be about 8 billion or some different reasons and different beliefs, and because we're all different.
Yeah.
We all see things a little different. How do you see it?
Well, I'm learning to let go of the indoctrination and learning that I have studied and just sense what rings right up in here for what I feel is truth about it all. And it's hard to do because there's always something new to learn about that isn't necessarily new at all.
Right.
You know, and so what's ringing righteous is different sometimes than what you think is ringing righteous.
Yes.
And you know well, that's the wrong word. The learning about what all that means, you know, is where I am. So I'm trying to stay away from defining anything because I'm realizing that so much of what I defined as my belief was not really my own belief. It was a belief that I believed in, but it wasn't necessarily my belief. And I'm still learning what my belief is because it's changing continuously.
Well, we've all done that. Even as kids, we were told, don't stick your finger in that flame.
Right.
Guess what you did?
Oh, absolutely.
And that's what we're still doing as adults. Except for our flame has changed.
Yeah.
And what's interesting, you mentioned that things seem to be changing. Well, a concept of yin yang is constant change.
Yeah, and I'm loving it.
And every event that comes to you, there is something in that event that you're going to benefit from.
And change with.
Yes, and then it's going to change again, and then you can learn more and change and grow. And it's just a growth period.
Yeah.
That's what attracted me to that. And then, you know, my culture stuff, it was the same. You know, my parents taught me, get more knowledge. The more you know, the better you'll do.
Yeah, that's what I got too.
Yeah, and that's the same thing as Taoism is telling you. You know, get some knowledge, learn your environment, you know, and there's nothing mystical about this.
Well, there really isn't, but because, you know, and I think about that, I wonder about that. It's like, why did it all of a sudden turn into this whole thing that is mystical and only the chosen few? You know, I mean, that's just such a BS situation, yes. and it seems like it's all about, you know, classism or,
yes.
you know, trying to, you know, have something is special someplace. But if we're all special, then what's the big whoop? I mean, why not just express and flow?
Desire. If you separate something and you make it,
I'm gonna turn that off because I should have already had it turned off.
That's okay.
Okay, let's just power off the whole thing. There we go. That's much better.
So if you make something appear to be desirable, you attract people. People means money, finances. They know how to get your money. Mm-hmm. Okay, and that's what that is about. The mystic part of it.
Yeah,
let's attract them, and then we'll get their money. And that's what they do.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's the part of society that we are supposed to learn, and we are supposed to learn to avoid that. You know, that's for the newcomers, the young ones coming up. Yep, stick your finger in the fire, you'll get burnt.
Yeah, okay. Well, I guess it's all a matter of a learning process, you know, but you can also come in knowing better. I mean, I remember picking my body. I remember being little, and what really woke me up was I was singing Jingle Bells. I had the little bells on my shoes, and I was, you know, had the snap up red little overall things on, and I had a white shirt on. And I was the youngest of 4, and we were all outside and playing around. It was Christmas Day, and I was stomping my feet and singing Jingle Bells, and all of a sudden I just woke up, and I'm like, oh, wow, and I looked around, and I looked at my body and went, what is going on here? And then I just thought, okay, let's just go with it. And then I just started, I was watching then my foot. So, and then I realized, I mean, that's when my guides totally tuned in, and I started talking with them all along. My mother was cool. She, you know, just told me don't tell anybody, you know. So there's some of us that get it, that get stuff right away. And I always knew, you know, that this whole money thing is weird. My dad was, I was adopted. All 4 of us were adopted. And my dad was a medical doctor. And he loved to show off, and it was this big, and he just always, I didn't like it. Yeah. So I was not the Alcorn girl, no. My name was Julie Moon, and I knew it way back then. Well, not back at 2, but probably at 5 or 6. Right. So I wasn't that Julie, different Julie.
I came into consciousness around 5, because 4 I got sick. Oh. And I wound up in that ward with polio, and couldn't move, paralyzed, and watching everybody else, all the other kids in there, because it was a children's hospital that I was in. Watched them all die, and then, you know, you said, okay, I don't want to do that, you know? And I saw the parents coming in and praying and crying, and preachers would come in for different faiths for the kids still die. So I said, okay, I can't do that. Okay, because if I do that, I'll die just like them. So, and there was an event, and I'm not happy to say this, but there was this racist night nurse. And every night when she'd come in, she'd use the N-word. She'd say, is that in there? And that allowed me to grasp onto something. I was so afraid of that end guy killing me at night that I would stay up all night, and I learned how to fight. Because I didn't know she was talking about me. I thought it was something that was killing people.
Oh my goodness sake, what a beautiful...
Like I said, every event that happens to you, there's something in it that you can benefit from. That taught me how to fight.
Yeah.
And I've been fighting ever since. And my mother came along and she had given me this little book, The Little Engine That Could. That did it for me. That's okay. I could do it, self-confidence. Okay? So I had those two tools, my fight and my belief. And that got me going. Got me into my teen years where I started learning more. Picked up Taoism around that time. And started exploring and one of the concepts that I had learned from my uncles, and because we were a big family, and we stuck together because you had to back then in the 50s. So we had to protect each other. Okay. I learned if you love you, other people see that and they get attracted to that. And I met the gal that I married. She, it just, one day she popped up on the radar, and then I noticed she was around more and more, and before I knew it, she was asking to go do stuff together, and then we got married, family, raised kids. I was with her for 37 years. She died of cancer, but it was cool, and I found if you have something of value, people are attracted to it. And I notice that to this day, people are attracted to me. And that's scary because I don't know what I have of value other than
it's your energy field. It's literally just you radiate.
Okay.
You radiate. And I'm more of a sensor, more clairaudient than clairvoyant.
Okay.
But I can still, sometimes when I really concentrate, and so I can see, there's energy. I don't get the colors so much. I know that there are colors, and I can know inside and tell what they are, but I don't necessarily see them.
In the aura?
Yeah, in the auric field. Right. But you exude energy. You do. I can sense it all over. Yeah, it's all over you. And it's really beautiful, and it's very calming. And that's why when Larry said, if Gary comes up and says he wants to talk to you, talk to him. And I want to talk to him. Kelsey, I want to talk to him. So I had no idea that it was supposed to be something about me. I wanted to talk to you about you. So this is happening, and I'm loving it.
Okay.
And I don't mind, throwing little pieces in there about, but I'm loving that energy. So tell me more then about the shamanism side when you realize, because you definitely are a magic man. There's no doubt there. It's all over. And I can get it like right in my solar plexus, really strong. And so it bounces with the colors that you're wearing. So when I saw, especially, I went, okay, this is perfect because, then I get a chance to.
Yeah, I saw it and thought of the butterfly and said, how cool is that? Because we typically think, when we say beauty, we think flowers, stuff like that. But animals.
Oh, yeah.
Helping a kid learn how to read is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's an event, but it's still beautiful. I feel my strongest when I'm helping.
Yeah.
And I know that's odd.
No, well, it's not supposed to be.
Well, I came from a culture that didn't promote that. The 50s was rough.
I know.
Okay.
I was born in it.
Okay, and I had to do a lot of fighting just to stay alive. So, I'm from a culture of fighting And I had to make that switch. My African culture helped me settle down to the nature of things. Break everything down, look at what you got going for you, use your talents, your inner, the core stuff about you.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always told I had tenacity. Okay, all my uncles and my parents told me that. They said, nothing stops you. I said, well, okay, obviously I was born with that.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I didn't earn it. Okay, I had it. So I take that and then I apply that to the things I do. And then you start getting little catchphrases that you pick up here and there. If you believe it, you can achieve it because you do. You actually do that. I was an engineer for 40 years. Sometimes I'd get an idea and I said, I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to try, and I'd go talk to the CEO or the owner of the company and say, look, I want to do this. I think I can get a return on the profit in 3 years. Okay, I'm going to need X amount of money. And they'd think about it and they'd come back to me and I'd get up. Okay, can you build that and get us to the trade show in 6 months, to a special trade show? Because we had a big one in Berlin. Mm-hmm. And then we had Vegas. Everybody goes to the trade shows in Vegas. Mm-hmm. So I said, can you be ready for that? I said, I'll try. Okay. Came up with the money. He financed me. We tried it. I built the machine. We took it to the trade show and we got orders coming out the yin yang.
Awesome.
That's what I said. Can you believe this? I'm telling myself that. Can you believe this? And obviously I did, or I wouldn't have pitched it.
Yeah, it wouldn't have happened.
And it's just incredible what you can do if you actually believe. And I remember, do you remember Muhammad Ali?
Oh, yeah.
That crazy dude, he turned out to be the greatest of all times. You remember he kept saying that?
Yep.
I'm the greatest of all. Yep. I'm so pretty. Okay? He turned out to be that. And look at that other young brother, Obama. Look what he turned out. If you believe something, I mean truly, not just the part-time stuff or, when it's convenient for you, but,
Yeah, but Obama has the bloodlines that belong to all the other ones.
I know, that helps.
Line
that
all
helps.
The way
he had people helping him along the way, but most of that was him. You know that.
Well, I don't know. We can differ on that.
Okay.
But that's all right. That's definitely okay.
Yeah, that's the beauty of our culture. We get to talk. We get to exchange ideas. And we don't always agree, but so what?
Yeah, really.
So what?
Yeah, it doesn't have to. It doesn't change anything. It's
Right.
just fun to, see what's there everywhere.
Right. So what's Julie Moon? Tell me about Julie Moon.
Well, because I was not so thrilled with, well, I guess that's just, it was my judgment. I just wasn't real happy with my family, in that way. And so I kind of just always was a loner and loved it, totally loved it. I had more fun just hanging out with me than I did with the brothers and sister and, by far. I was always hanging out in the library at my dad's house. I would just be in the library looking through the books and, my mother got to the point where she was like, don't you want to go play with the kids? And I'm like, no, I really don't. Because for one thing, there was a lot of things that were really not good about my brothers, and I did not want to be with them.
Okay.
And my sister was just in denial about everything and wanted to just, turn the blind eye to everything. So I just kind of hung out. And then my adopted mother, died of cancer, bone cancer, when I was 15.
Okay.
And then life really changed drastically for all of us. And so I ended up going down to the desert house. We had a second house in Palm Springs, and I lived down there half the time. Basically growing up, we were back and forth out of LA and Palm Springs. And so I hung out down there a lot, met this man, fell in love. And I was right out of high school at 17, and we decided we wanted to get married, and we were going to do it in Yosemite. We were going to hike to Half Dome and then come back, and then by then I'd be 18,
right.
And we'd get married.
Okay, it'd be legal. Then.
Well, yeah, it'd be legal to do it. Well, we hiked down to the river the first day. It took us, I don't know, maybe 2.5 hours or whatever. We get down to the river, and we decided, well, okay, we'll just set up our camp right here by the river. Okay. Wrong. Here comes this big old bear, a brown bear, a giant bear, and it's just about, and of course they're going to come to the river and look for fish, and we were stupid, we didn't know.
Right.
And, but here's old Rick, he's got the machete and he's in the tent, and this, we can hear the bear. Well, we had put the, backpack with the food in it, strung it up between trees, and we heard that on the way down. Some people had gotten ripped off by the bears and had to go back up without food. So we put the tent up in between trees on string, which was good. But the bear just walked up and slapped it down and took it anyway,
Right.
Didn't try to come in to get us. I mean, they were so used to people, that we weren't really in danger, but we didn't know that. So it was pretty intense. So the next day, we had to go back up like the other people did, up the hill. And so we didn't know really what to do. We didn't really even have the money to get a place to stay that long, because we were going to hike and be out a week before we got married and then drive home. But now we had another week to go, another week and a half to go before I was old enough to get married. But so we went to the little church in, was it Tuolumne Meadows? I'm not sure, but like right down in the park, and the preacher guy was there, and we told him what happened and that we wanted to get married, but that we knew we had to wait a week, and we didn't know where to stay, and could he tell us where we could stay, because we didn't have the money to stay really anywhere. And he goes, well, if it's just a week before you're 18, then maybe I'll stretch this, but, I need some kind of, something. And I had a driver's license. So I showed him my driver's license,
So you predate the wedding papers?
Well, we had gotten our marriage certificate thing, or whatever it is,
and
whatever.
The blood tests and stuff.
All of that stuff, was already done.
Okay.
And we had all of that, but he just wanted to make sure that I wasn't telling a big fib and that I was 14,
right.
Or whatever. So I showed him my license, and so Rick's parents flew up. His dad had a private plane, and they flew up with his sister, and my dad was too angry. He didn't want anything to do with it. He would not be a part of the wedding, which was fine. I mean, because we just had, it wasn't really all that. I mean, before, when he left the planet, I got to be the one that helped him move through. And that was really cool. I mean, he finally got who I was at that point, but he didn't before that. But I tried to give him mouth to mouth. He had had a heart attack in the car. We had just got done seeing Sunset Boulevard, and we had the most fabulous night. Our favorite restaurant, mine and his, was Trader Vic's at Beverly Hills Hilton. And we had the most fabulous. They had the tiki puka pukas. Those drinks were so fabulous. And we had the perfect dinner. We had the perfect everything. We saw Sunset Boulevard, and we were leaving, and I could tell, he was walking slow, and he had to wait, and we knew. And we had changed the cars, and the oxygen tank was in the other Cadillac, and we had the one that didn't have it in it.
Okay.
And, but, we're just about to get on the freeway, and he just started, having this heart attack. And Dennis, my brother, was driving, and my son, Kea, I was in Hawaii for 16 years. Keamalama Lama is his name, white light in Hawaiian.
Okay. Cool.
He was in the car and I was in the car, and so I'm like, okay, Dennis, pull over. And I just got in this real bossy mode. I go, pull over, you go that way, Kay, you go that way. I'm gonna deal with Dad.
Right.
Find somebody, and get an ambulance here.
Right.
And so I just opened up the car door, and he was just sitting there, and he was still, he was there. And I'm going, okay, Dad, tune into Mom. I go, Mom, come get him. And then just, breathe through your pores. You can't breathe through your nose, just breathe through your pores. You're going to be fine.
Right.
And I'm like, Mom, come get him. And I looked and I got this seat to go backwards, and I kind of did his nose, and I tried to breathe for him, but his stomach went up. It was no lungs. He had collapsed.
Okay.
And so I just knew that was that. And I go, okay, this is it. Just let go. Just go with God. Just let go. It's all good, Dad. We're right here. Just, you don't want to go get all sliced up. This is like the third time this has happened. Just let go. And he turned and he looked at me with his eyes, and I got it. We got it. We got it. So all the stuff that had been weird for so long got cleaned up right there in that moment. It was really beautiful.
Yeah. Moment of eye contact.
Yeah, it was just, he finally, okay, now I understand. Because I was just the hippie girl that lived out in the middle of the jungle, that could have done anything with her life and totally screwed it up. Became Julie Moon instead of Julie Alcorn, and now I use Julie Alcorn sometimes when I have to for legal stuff. I never legally changed it, but Julie Moon was the hippie girl growing pot out in the jungle for many years.
A lot of people did that.
And that's where I got into herbalism.
Okay.
And we were way away from doctors, and I wouldn't take it in one day anyway. But I decided, being as far away as we were, I had this little boy. I needed to figure out how to heal him if something happened. So I would just go hang out with plants, and I could tell, the sensitivity by there would be like a stingy, burny kind of a vibe from the poison ones, or the ones that would hurt. That's how I found sumac.
Okay.
Was
so you're as much a shaman as I am. Your knowledge of herbs.
Maybe. I did study Wicca for a long, long time. I got into the herbalism through, through Wicca.
Natural healing.
Yeah.
I have a couple of other Wicca friends that also do,
Yeah.
Like I said, we are so similar. We just got these little labels on us that make us think we're different.
Yeah.
And we're not.
Yeah.
But, I think that's beautiful.
That's
So you were able to heal folks.
Yeah, I've done a lot of healing with a lot of stuff. Been around a lot of death. Been a midwife to a lot of death. My brother died 6 months before my father did, of AIDS, gay man, and his lover died a couple of years before him. But he came to Hawaii and met up with Albert, his husband. Fabulous men, really. I mean, he was one of the brothers that was the worst of the two, and but at the same time, I really loved him. I loved him very much. We were very close, after all the weirdness, and we became friends, but we were always really close. And I've done his chart. I'm an astrologer. I've been doing astrology 40 years, we've had plenty of past life energies together, lots and lots and lots of them. So, there's that. But so he came and he passed over in Hawaii, and he was buried there. And my dad came, afterwards. He didn't want to have it. Oh, it was a mess. But anyway, so that's where he wanted his body laid to rest with his husband. So they did that in a really beautiful, beautiful spot. Okay. And my sister and I went back, and I came back at the end of '93, actually for a 2-week vacation to stay with my dad. He told me, I'm probably not going to make it another year. I want you to come and, be here for this Christmas and bring Kea. So I did, and 3 days later is when he had his heart attack. So my sister and I went back in 2005. 2005 or 6, I'm not sure. and went and hung out up there, and I got lost because it's been so many years and it's changed so much now that I didn't even know. I'm down by Kelikakua. I was like trying to navigate my way through this one road that I used to know, and I got lost. I couldn't even, and so it's not the same, but I still have really, really good friends there. And Martha, my friend, came and visited me last August, and I was supposed to go this August, but putting it off for a number of really good reasons that are fabulous. So I'll get there before the end of the year.
I hear you. Well, you mentioned past lives.
Mm-hmm. Well,
you feel like talking about that?
Sure. Yeah. I don't know if I think they're past. I think everything's happening all at the same time. Different dimensions, different timelines.
I have some confusion there because I believed that we get a lot of information through our DNA as well.
Yes, absolutely.
And I believe that sometimes I get a glimpse of that information and I tell myself, oh, deja vu. I've been here before, and then I said, no, I haven't. Maybe one of my ancestors.
Or maybe another part of you, which is your ancestor, which is
part.
me,
right,
which is part. Even this table right here.
That's the part I wanted you to talk about, because that's confusing.
Yeah, okay. Well, the way that it feels right to me is that there is no past and there is no future. Everything's happening at the same time. And there's a billion, zillion, quadrillion yous, which are a billion, zillion, quadrillion me's, and we're all one, doing the same thing in different timelines, in different universes, on different earths. And that when we tune into something that we think is a past life, and it's Marie Antoinette, or whoever, whatever, that because we're all one, there's a certain thing that we may see that jolts a memory, or something we're experiencing that jolts a memory that puts us in that in-between place, and our energy will jump into whoever that person is that we think we were. Or even if we don't have a name, because there's people that can give names and dates and things, Right. So they're like literally tuning in. Are they that person necessarily? It's everything is happening all the time. And as a psychic, for me, I kind of like channel energy as I'm reading. I don't like channel anything or anyone, but I look at symbols and I just get information starts coming. So when that happens, I don't necessarily know if it's another part of me that is bringing that in, or another guide that is separate, so to speak, for the moment that brings that in, or how exactly that happens. But when you're feeling that deja vu moment, that you've done that before, because we are all one and we've done everything that has ever been done before and future, then the trick of the mind is thinking that it was this person that I was before in the past that saw that and I just remembered it. And that may or may not be true. It may just be that you got triggered to something that part of you in spirit experienced. But we always want to label things, like you said. Right. We want to, we want to label. That's got to be this person or that person. Right. It has to be, this reality or another reality. Yeah, and it does help us understand it.
Right.
It does. It helps put it in perspective. And then, the change, like I said, I'm trying not to define, because it's all just happening. It's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yes.
Better. And better. That, we just have that much more understanding of, what being all one really is.
Agreed.
So I think that you probably were all those deja vu peoples, whether in one way or another.
And all of a sudden I connected with life, or the creation, whatever you call it, the giant spirit. And that was the benefit that I got out of it. But you know, we used to come up to Sedona to visit and party and jazz festivals and stuff like that. And every time I would come up here at night, I would always have dreams of people asking for help. And I kept telling my wife that all the time. And then when we left and went back down to Phoenix, no, never, nothing. And then when we finally moved up here, guess where I wind up? So I have connections with creation. And from time to time, it touches me to where I can understand it. Okay? And I figure most of the time I don't understand it.
Yeah.
That's all there's to it. I'm just not there yet, but I'm growing. You know, and that's the cool part.
That's the cool part.
And that's part of what I'm doing here right now.
Well, that's what I'm doing too.
Okay. I'm still trying to grow. I'm trying to figure this out. I'm trying to help where I can and take help from whom I can too.
Yeah,
So,
well, we're way shorts, and that's what we do. We help each other remember.
right.
You know, to do the and then the member it back up.
Right.
You know, to where it makes better sense, because some days it makes better sense than other days.
Right. I hear you.
Yeah.
There's a lot to you, Julie.
There's a lot to you too. That's the fun of it, and that's the beauty of finding, you know, the center, because I just, you know, would rather be alone because it's just easier. And then when I thought, you know, I need to just get out because I work on the phone, I'm home all the time, it's me and my cat, my O'Brien, and I love it, but at the same time, you know, I felt like I want to do something more. I want to start interacting and, you know, learn from other people and not just constantly, you know, put that out, which I love to do, don't get me wrong. And I work online on an online thing, so I can sign in and out whenever I want, and I just get calls, and I've been doing that 14 years now.
Okay.
And it has supported me, and so, but I'm thinking, okay, instead of just giving that, what I want to receive too, besides just what I can tune into and get, because when you're by yourself, well, let me rephrase that. When I'm alone, I can get a lot, and I love what I get, but I'm feeling that I'm just way too arrogant up and out there to think I can get it all. That's just dumb, you know.
Okay.
And I didn't really think that I could, but I thought that I could get enough that on my own little journey. I remember as a kid, I was like, I could do it myself. I could do it myself.
Right.
I could do it for myself. And I've always been like that. And it's like, okay, get over yourself. You know, now it's time to.
No, but that gave you the strength to get it done.
Yeah, well, yeah,
You got
that's
you here.
true. That's
was,
true.
That was beautiful.
Well, it did. But I went online into the meetup thing and saw the center and, you know, the Lionsgate thing. And I thought, okay, I'm going to make it. I'm going to do that.
Okay.
And I did, and just fell in love. I mean, it's like, okay, so, you know, now they're sisters and brothers. Now I really can't, this is good, you know, because there's people that know a lot more than I know. And that even came out wrong, but it must have been on some level what I meant, because I did say it. But what I mean is that I want to share with people, you know, and see the other things that have been going on that I've missed out on for a lot of years.
Right.
You know, I haven't had any partners, I've been alone, and now I want to come out and play.
Okay. And it's your day to play. Okay.
Well, it is.
That's cool.
I get to go and get, I'm going to do a reading, an exchange, part cash, part reading, with Brown Feather for her beautiful goddess creative lady picture thing.
Okay.
So I'm excited about that. So it is a fabulous day for me.
My father was a painter, and he did art shows, maybe 2 or so a year. And we got a lot of press and photos, and they were always interviewing us. We were the up and coming black people
Yeah,
in the,
hey.
back there in the day and back in the late 50s, and I always admired that, and I remember he gave me so much. I got so much, but I got more strength from my mother.
Mothers are like that. Yeah, they are.
She would give me stuff. She gave me the down. She told me about it.
Mm.
She would, she taught school, and she'd do her grading of her papers in the evening in the kitchen table.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd come through there wanting a snack or something, and she'd ask me stuff, how you coming, how you building, Gary?
How you building?
And I would say, I got my strengths down pat. I'm learning to be generous, and she just asked me something. Like I didn't know I was supposed to build myself. Okay, so she told me, okay, no, you're responsible for being the man you need to be. So, okay.
Good for her. Nice that you got that info.
Yeah, I got so much from her. And of course, from my father, I got the rules.
Yeah.
And they were cool because they were rules that governed my life. That was going to be part of my character.
Mm-hmm.
Don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not allowed to break those rules. There's nobody that's going to enforce them but me,
Yeah.
But I understand that. I'm not allowed to break those rules. And then there was another odd one that was because of the social circumstances we were in, my responsibility to the family. Okay, and Father just said, hey, if the house is on fire, get your brother and sister out. I don't care if you burn up with them, don't come out without them because you're going to hate yourself. It's not going to be about what I think. You're going to hate yourself the rest of your life. So, it's up to you to do that. So, okay, I got that.
Were you the oldest?
No, I was number 2.
Number 2.
Okay. We were at a picnic once and we got harassed cars, going by, calling names, throwing stuff, back in the 50s, okay. He and my other uncles called me over and they said, okay, here's another rule to go by. When there's danger in the family, you get in between. You're the decoy. Okay, I'm never like this.
Yeah.
And once it happened to me, and I don't know how I got to the hospital, but they patched me up, some broken bones. Yeah, but this made me strong. I did my part.
Yeah.
They got to safety. Okay, so life comes differently to different people.
It does.
For different reasons, and I realized that was a social thing, and I realized there had to be more. And I realized that wasn't going to get it from me. I could never survive that. And I wasn't alone. There was so many other people that said, we're not going to live like this no more. And you know how we rioted.
Mm-hmm.
So it changed. And one of the defining moments was when females joined our movement. And they gave us enough momentum to get us over the hump. And then the war protesters also joined our youth, our group, or whatever you want to call us, our movement. And another crazy event was Kent State. The National Guard got called in like they do every time we ride. The National Guard would come in and shoot us. So Kent State had more than just black people there. Okay. And National Guard came and they did their thing, and it was songs coming out. Crosby, Stills and Nash, 4 Dead in Ohio.
Yes, yes.
So, because it was white kids that got killed that time. It wasn't just black people. Okay. So it worked. People joining in helped.
Yeah.
You know, we got help. Because, and that was one Civil War.
Yeah, that's
that
like really
we
being on
won.
the front lines, boy.
We won. We beat America.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was so prominent that Berlin saw that. They started trying to tear down the wall.
Yeah.
South Africa saw that, and they just started tearing up down apartheid.
Yeah.
And I think one of the best things that could have happened was TV, and we was able to broadcast to different countries. Once they saw the fight, that helped them, that fueled their movements. And you know, it's a beautiful thing when everybody gets collectively on a goal.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's the beautiful thing about the internet and about television and about broadcast, you know, is that, you know, people are more connected than ever before, but there's more disinformation and more BS than ever before too.
True.
But they say, you know, okay, they you know, put all this together to keep an eye on everybody, and, you know, nothing is secret, and it's all out, and, you know, Big Brother is more than watching you. We're in your TV watching you, whether it's on or off, and these things are real.
Yes.
But that's why I have a blanket over mine. I always, you know, but who knows that they can't see through the blanket, right? But it makes me feel a little bit better.
Right.
And
they're hearing from your phone.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Even though it's
Oh
off.
yeah, absolutely they do. But we could use that against them too, in that, because we're not hiding anything.
Right.
We're still using the tools that they started to try to oppress us with to blow their crap right out the water, you know, and let everybody, you know, be aware, be really cautious about what you take in. You do have to be discretionary, and you do have to be careful, but no, we're bigger than ever.
I'm using their tool. I'm using their camera.
Absolutely.
And
And
I'm using
we
their
do.
internet, and we're broadcasting
That's
our
the
message.
point. That's exactly the
We're
point.
using what we have.
Yeah. And thank you, by the way. You know,
Right.
when you come from that place of being in that place of recognizing that everything is a viewpoint, regardless of belief, because belief just comes from somebody's viewpoint
Right.
anyway,
Yeah.
then you're not oppressed by it, and there's no more fear about it anymore. And then the level of frequency raises to where they can't get at you anymore. They don't want to get at you anymore because they can't, for one thing, but there's plenty others that they think, you know. So it's not like you're safe, but you are. When you recognize
We're
that
safer now.
we're safer now.
We're
We'll just
safer
say it
now.
that way. We're safer now with the understanding
Right.
of the viewpoint of connected God love.
Right.
You know, that brings enlightenment, and the negative side of beauty and love and light can't well, you can't make dark take away the light. It just won't, you know. No matter, when the sun comes up, the sun is up no matter what.
And change happens constantly.
Yeah,
Yes.
and bigger and better and more, and the higher frequency too. So I think it's a matter of frequency with that other energy that will call negative. It's just the other side, the yin, the yang, the, you know, however. When that frequency rises to a certain level, then it's beyond, what would the word be? It's beyond, you can't, it's not noticeable.
Okay.
It doesn't, that frequency, when you're at a higher frequency, it's like we can't hear what the dogs and the cats can hear.
True.
They can't hear what we're talking about.
I don't know.
overall. I mean, yes, they're listening, but you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying.
Right.
Well, maybe let me explain that the higher the level of frequency, the less interested they are because it's too much work.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's too hard to deal
To
with
decipher
that when they can get they got all the fish they need here, but the more that we are putting out with their tools
Right.
into those levels, then those people's frequencies raise too. And before it's all over, we're all going to be on the same page. I just know it.
I agree. I'm going to cut this off.